What's going on, everyone? Welcome back into In the Groove. This is episode 29. Happy New Year. Happy 2022. Cheers if you're drinking coffee with me. It's a little late in the day for me to be drinking coffee, but I still love it. Anyways, I know it's been a long time. It's been a few months, actually, so I missed you all. I hope you're doing well. I hope you have had a great mid to end of the year, great Christmas, great holidays, all that good stuff. Today I want to talk about doing a year review, looking back at 2021, what I do instead of setting random New Year's resolutions, some of my highs and lows of the year, and then just a little bit of recapping what I've been up to in the past few months. I've been going on tour, working a full-time job, just trying to live life, live a balanced life, visiting family, friends, doing things other than playing music, traveling a little bit. So yeah, let's get into it. I want to start this episode off by saying, again, thank you for listening. I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you find this valuable in any way, please feel free to share it with your friends. I'm now bringing the podcast back to YouTube. So those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can see right now, I got a nice podcast microphone stand for myself a few days ago. If anyone's interested in getting a podcast mic stand like this, I'll put a link to the one I got in the description below. It's great. It was like $18, and I got one behind me as well for the new podcast I started with my wife, Marissa. You can check that one out too. Again, I'll link to everything I talk about in the show notes. That one's going to be called Finding Your Groove, and we're going to be talking a lot about how we make our relationship work and gel as a part-time musician, and she's a full-time music therapist. But then also how we navigate through life with different things, like coming from different cultures, different religious backgrounds, all that good stuff. So if you're interested, if you're trying to work through a relationship with your significant other and you would just like some, I don't know, maybe validation along the way or a different perspective on how to go about things or resolve problems and conflicts and differences, I'd recommend you checking that one out. So let's jump into it. Let's take a look back at 2021 and what a hell of a year that was. It was a roller coaster, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of highs and lows. That's just another way to say ups and downs, I guess. But for me, it was a huge year. I got married. I moved into this new home. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can see I got a nice little office set up. I got some pictures hung up behind me, thanks to my wife. She's the interior designer of the two of us by far. Living in Chicago, did a lot this year. Like I said, I went on 3 tours with my band. In the next few episodes, I'm going to recap those tours and give you an update on what it's like to be starting off life on the road, if you have your own band or you're in a band, or if you're just a hired gun, what you can sort of expect when going out on the road, and maybe a few tips on how to stay sane and healthy along the way. So let's check out some highlights and some lowlights from the past year, especially on those tours. Let's start with the lows, so I don't leave you off on a low note. I want to start on a low note and then take it to a more positive space. So Just a few silly lows to the year. Starting with gain like 10 pounds. I know for a lot of people, you're thinking that's not a big deal, but for me, I'm someone who's tried to be strict with my diet and my exercise. I've been strict with my exercise, but not so much my diet. So that's something I let slip a little bit, but that's all right. I'm not too crazy or anything. Just gain like 10 pounds. I haven't practiced nearly as much in the past year than I have in the past 2 years. Of course, that's just a result of getting married, wedding planning, all the other excuses I can think of. But big part of that is definitely moving into an apartment. For those of you who live in an apartment or a shared space, or for whatever reason you can't practice on an acoustic kit, I feel for you. That's something I took for granted the past 2 years living with roommates in our own townhome, and they didn't care whether I practiced 30 minutes or 4 hours a day and full volume. They were super supportive, and they were my bandmates, so it makes sense. But still, I don't know if I want to hear anyone play drums for like hours a day. So shout out to you, Tom and Austin. You guys were some real great roommates. I miss you. Obviously, I see you plenty on tour, but I miss living with you. The podcast obviously took a little dip. I would say a big dip in terms of episodes I'm putting out, but good news is that's going to change. I really miss podcasting, and it's a lot like a self-therapy for me. Just the whole process of prepping for it, organizing my thoughts, wanting to document this journey that I'm on. I really enjoy all of it, which is why I'm making a point these next few months to really get back into that groove and have it be a regular practice again. I also journaled less than I would have liked. I didn't log my practice or anything like that. Again, it's just tough practicing on an electronic kit, especially because the one I have, it was a loaner from a buddy, from Trevor. Those of you might recognize that name from 2 episodes ago, Trevor Seitz. He loaned me an e-kit, and unfortunately it doesn't work very well, so I literally just use it as like practice pads with different surfaces. I don't even turn on the electronic part. So it's tough to practice things like touch, feel, dynamics. You still can, but obviously for those of you who've played on an electronic and an acoustic, you know there's a huge difference. Those are some of the lows for the year. Let's take a look at the highlights of the year. Few quick ones. Got a new drum set. That's been awesome. Although I can't practice it at home or play it at home. Play it out on the road. It's a Ludwig Signet. And I had my eyes set on a Tama, one of those walnut birch hybrids, but didn't want to spend that much money. And my buddy Nathan Mark was selling his kit for a really good price with the hardware, with some drum cases, which I needed, for like $600. So yeah, and it's a 10, 12, 14, 20. So it's a 4-piece kit for $600 in great condition. I've played on it plenty before, so I know it sounds great. And yeah, that's pretty cool. I haven't gotten a new drum set in a long time. I dig it. I got better at playing live, gained confidence. I'm enjoying my time on my set more because I don't have as much of it, so that I don't take that time for granted when I do spend time on my set. But besides that, I got the band Sneezy that I'm in, got signed to Color Red, record label out of Denver. We just have a publishing and licensing deal, so they try to get our music on whatever TV shows, commercials, all that good stuff. Try to license our music to make a few bucks. That was really cool. They actually came out to one of our shows out in Denver. We got to meet them in person. They were great guys, great gals, so I'm excited about that partnership. We released our new album, Open Doors. I'll link to that in the description below. Go check that out. I'm proud of the drumming that both myself and Nathan Mark put out on that album. And I dig the music. I think it's our best album so far. So, and the intro and outro music you heard is a song from that album called Not Sorry. So, if you dug it, even just a little bit, check out the whole album. It's different. There's a lot of different influences and a lot of different songs. What else? We just got signed to a booking agency as well. So a label for publishing and licensing deal and a booking agency, which is awesome. We got rid of our manager, which was a whole thing. I'll detail that in a tour recap episode in the following week or two. Crazy story, but yeah, we got rid of him, and thankfully when we were playing a show out in Asheville, North Carolina, someone from Loose Leaf Booking Agency, her name is Sam, she's our agent, saw us playing at Asheville Music Hall and talked to us after the show and got us signed to this agency, Loose Leaf. So that's all been really positive and exciting. And not to mention, at the same time, I'm holding down a full-time job working remote still for the same company I've been talking about for the past year. I've been enjoying marriage to the fullest. I mean, I don't know, there's so much cliche a lot of times you'll hear guys go, "Oh, it's the worst decision I've ever made. Like, don't get married. Like, live it up while you can." And I'm just like, man, I love it. So that's been enjoyable. Living with Marissa and spending more time together. Spending a lot of time with family. Been really enjoying that as well. So, although I have done things like gained a few lbs, haven't practiced as much, haven't put out as many podcasts, I'm trying to be more and more okay with that. And the last episode I talked about how I'm finding I'm not putting as much pressure on myself to find my identity through just music and just drums. I can be a whole person regardless of how much I practice or if I even play drums at all. I'm no less valuable, and just trying to repeat that sort of positive message to myself. So remember that whenever you set these high ambitious goals, even if you don't hit them on the head the first time, even if you experience setbacks or take a break, it's all good. You're no less of a person. Just if you ask yourself, is this really what I want? And if it is, take a look back, give yourself some feedback, and see how you can correct the course and get back on the road to those goals that you set out. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. So a reason why I like to do a year in review rather than just set New Year's resolutions is because if you're just setting New Year's resolutions without taking a look back and getting some feedback for yourself at what's been going on in the past, what's worked and what hasn't, then it's like throwing darts at a dartboard with a blindfold on. You gotta at least assess where you've been, how it's worked out. Like, what have I done in the past year that's really worked for me? What's gone on in the past year that detracted from my goals or put me off course? What's something that I could be better at? What's something I wish I did more of? Because when I did it for a little bit, it felt great or benefited me in a certain way. So that's why I prefer year-end reviews instead of just setting blind New Year's resolutions. So that's something I would encourage you all to do. And let me know what you're up to this next year. And let me know what worked for you back in 2021. Any goals you have for 2022 and anything. What worked for you in 2021 and what changes are you going to make for this next year? Let me know in the comments. Or feel free to shoot me an email. Again, I love responding and communicating with people as much as possible. So I'm going to put my email in the notes below as always. Feel free to reach out and let me know. And just a reminder, a lot for myself, but for you all as well. This podcast is just to document my journey as a drummer and as a human and to share lessons I learned along the way. Feel free to pick and choose what you take from this. And if you don't agree or see eye to eye about something, great. I do not claim to have all the answers or be an expert in any way. I am just trying to relay my experiences and take a realistic and holistic approach to being a drummer, being a professional drummer, whatever that means. That includes having a balanced life, some sort of financial security, and meaning that comes from more than just music. So take all that into consideration whenever you hear me saying something or suggesting something. It's just because it's coming from my personal experience. Not that I think there's a one-size-fits-all type prescription for everyone trying to achieve the same goals as me. But again, if something works for you and it came from a shared experience of mine, beautiful. That's all I could hope and ask for. So in general, I'm going to be trying to add more value to my podcasts, keep them more concise and clear, and just have concrete takeaways and specific takeaways instead of just sort of rambling and having a personal diary. So again, I'm going to recommend things like this mic stand, like this incredible mushroom infused coffee that I've been drinking for the past 2 years, in the show notes below, just because these are all things I truly gained some benefit from and think could provide value to your life as well. So that's just a little bit about the direction of the podcast for the next year. The next few episodes, I'm going to go into things like tour recaps, how to, like I said before, stay sane, stay healthy, keep your chops up while you're on the road, get along with who you're with on the road, all that good stuff. And then talk about how can you balance a day job and be a musician? How can you practice in an apartment? What should you be practicing if you only have access to an electronic kit, or what are some alternatives if you don't have an acoustic kit with you. So those are things you can be looking forward to in the future. That's it for today. Again, I'm just keeping it short and concise from now on, at least sometimes. And I hope you all have the best start to 2022. I hope you had a great Christmas, great holiday. Hope you're staying healthy, of course. And thank you again for listening to In the Groove. If you enjoyed this, please share with your friends. Like, comment, subscribe, leave a rating. All that good stuff means the world to me. Feel free to reach out. And until next time, have a great one. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.
So why you asking me like you don't know?